So, I mean, if you've just watched my last video, this is gonna be the next week's video. I made it in the same day, so I'm wearing the same clothes and everything. Today's video is gonna be about my high school experience, what I've done in high school, and what I think. And it's not what I think you guys should do, but it's take what you can get out of my story and learn from it, or try and, like, I don't want to say do everything I did, because some of the stuff that I did isn't possible, and you can only obtain what I have through family, friends, or just knowledge that I don't think anybody can receive. But through this video, that's me giving you the knowledge now, in a way. So everything that I'm about to, talk about and explain, you know, just try and learn from it. Try and really picture yourself in the situation. And this video is, I guess, more for high schoolers, people who are in high school or who are about to graduate, because to me, this is very important. This is a very important step in your life. If you're not scared yet, you probably will be, you know, a year or months or however long it takes you to feel that, like, holy crap, I'm an adult now kind of feeling. But anyways, I want to talk about, let's just go back from the beginning, when I became a freshman. When I started high school, I was a young, chubby kid, didn't have many friends, no one looked at me, no one talked to me. I was just that kid, like that, I don't know, the lame kid that, had no style, no nothing, whatever. And as time went on, I was just the kid that, like, would get bullied. Not a fun time. I can go more in depth about this later. I kind of want to talk about the business side of my high school life. So, with that being said, I was bullied a lot throughout my freshman and sophomore year. I switched high schools around my freshman, like around like freshman, sophomore year. I went to a different school. I went to that school specifically because my best friend went to that school, and that was probably one of the best decisions of my life, because I had a good friend now. I had a great friend at a school that I had no idea where I was at. I knew nobody, but I had a good friend, and keep this in mind also, I had good parents. I had a good dad, a good mom. My parents were kind of freshly divorced. They got divorced when I was promoting in 8th grade. So yeah, it's still a pretty fresh divorce. They're living apart. But anyways, because of that divorce, it caused my dad to go into an entrepreneurial route, and he started his own businesses. My mom was a social worker, and she was the more of, like, stay in school route. You got to do that. You got to go to school, go to college. Make sure you always have a plan B type of person. And because I had a lot of respect for my father, and still do have a lot of respect for my father, I kind of at a young age knew I wanted to start a business and go down the entrepreneurial route. And because of that, I I was very confident in where I was going to end up in life. I was like, oh my God, once school is done, I'm going to, get the Iman Ghazi course, do social media marketing and be the richest person that ever lived. I was very confident. I told everybody that, I was going to make it. With that being said, junior year is when things started to change for me. My junior year is when, for whatever reason, God gave me Fortnite, and I was literally playing Fortnite 24/7. And usually, you think of gamers, you think of a fat, loser, doesn't really do anything. Well, because of Fortnite, my sleep schedule was so messed up. I'd wake up at like 5, 6 p.m., game all night, and then wake up at 5, 6 p.m. Like, just like from 5 to 6 p.m., wake up, game, and then you go to sleep at like 10 a.m. Totally terrible sleep schedule. But because of that sleep schedule, I was only eating one meal a day. And that one meal a day was tuna. I would eat it every day, once a day. And that was during the COVID. So we were, if I'm not mistaken, I was locked up during COVID when Fortnite has like, big is super big. Fortnite was big during COVID. I came back to school as a senior. So hold on, let me scratch that. You know how I said things changed for me in my junior year? I was like, scratch that. The junior year was during my COVID year. So I lost like 50 pounds just playing Fortnite, eating tuna every day. And I came back as a senior and I was like, you know what, let me just try a different style. I started wearing hats. This was like the first hat I ever got. And that changed everything. I was able to talk to people more easily. My confidence went up. I had a style now. I wouldn't say new friends. I still had all the same old friends, but they're good friends. And new acquaintances where I'm starting to become friends with not super popular kids, but I know who they are. They know who I am. I am a known person in school. I'm not the popular kid, but people know who I am. And that, I don't want to say felt good, but it felt different. It felt like a new, like something I've never felt before. When you go, especially if this was you, if you go from being invisible to all of a sudden being visible and people look at you and to want to talk to you and want to keep a conversation going with you, it feels weird. It's a totally different feeling than what you're used to. But anyways, that's what happened to me. And during this COVID change, during this Fortnite change, I went to school my senior year. And during the senior year, where I had this new confidence of just from basically losing the weight, the baby fat that I had, my dad gave me a business, a barrel business, which I have a video of me working on some in some old videos. But anyways, he gave me this business, and this business was, I have to think, it's all thanks to my dad and God and everything, but I was blessed enough to basically have been given this business so that I don't have to go and get a 9 to 5. I wasn't like these other kids in school that had to work a 9 to 5 and had to go. I never had to experience that. To this day, I still haven't worked a 9 to 5. I have worked with my best friend, we call him Sebs, with my neighbor one time, and that was the closest to a 9 to 5 I got. I think I was doing that job when I was 10 years old. And we basically did inventory, folded shirts, took pictures of shirts that he would buy from the thrift store, and he'd post them on eBay. And we were his workers, paid $10 an hour, minimum wage. No, not even minimum wage is 15, so when we were working it was 10, so below minimum wage. But back to what I was saying, that was the only 9 to 5 that I had experienced, and I remember hating it. Like that job that I had with my neighbor, I never wanted to go. I hated working for somebody else. I hated only being able to make $10 an hour, and I just didn't like that. So when my dad gave me the barrel business, it opened up my eyes like, holy crap, I can fund myself without getting a 9 to 5. I'm making more money with this business than these kids are on their 9 to 5. And that kind of gave me a lot of hope because let me give you some perspective. I would work 1 hour to 2 hours and make some of my students' whole week's paycheck. And that gave me so much time to really think about what I wanted to do with my future. Because instead of going from 9 to 5 at a job, I was going from 9 to 5 brainstorming on what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And that brainstorm of like, oh, I got a lot of time because I'm so ahead of everybody else, kind of got to me. It got to me in the sense of, I got so much time, I'm going to slack off, or I got so much time, I'm going to do this instead. It really got to me. And I guess that's one of the first mistakes that I guess I would tell you guys not to make again, or my viewers, or whoever's watching this not to make, is if you're confident and you have some sort of flow going, you know what you want to do, you're working on it, is to continue and find a rhythm and find a schedule that works for you so that you don't get burnt out. Because not only will you get like not only so you don't get burnt out, but so that you stay consistent and disciplined on doing it. Because a lot of times when you think you're so ahead and you have a lot of time, you procrastinate, you put it off, and that doesn't help. That never helps. Procrastination is your worst nightmare. It's my worst nightmare. So I always try and tell people get it done right away. Um, Same thing with all your chores. Same thing with your work, with your business, with your hygiene, with whatever it is that you want to work on your muscles. You're going to the gym. Try and keep a routine and keep it. Learning to keep a routine will save you months, if not years, of laziness, procrastination, and forgetfulness. It'll save you a ton. Um, I'm a very As of right now, I'm a very to myself person. I don't really talk to a lot of people as far as friends. I don't go out a lot. I don't go out to party. I don't do too much. But when I do, I really try and talk about entrepreneurship to my friends and stuff, because I really do think that if you have it in you, that it's a gift, because you can do a lot of things that other people can't do. For instance, a lot of people aren't not meant to be an entrepreneur. They have to, have the feeling of somebody telling you what to do, and they like the job feeling. They like knowing that there's not really a worry that they're going to get their paycheck for sure. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But for some people, just the thought of the job or just the thought of a 9 to 5 leads to depression, or causes depression, because of the kind of lifestyle that having a 9 to 5 gives you. When you have a 9 to 5, you have no freedom. When I was a senior and I had this business, I had so much freedom. I was preaching to my friends all the time. Friend, you need to start your own business. Homie, you need to start your own business. Gang, you need to, because it's so important to have your own money and to not have somebody tell you, hey, Jesse, you got to be here at 9 a.m. You get off at 10 p.m. Like, you don't want that. You just don't. So being able to be your own boss was a very big blessing for me in senior year. And because of that, I was very confident. And that was one of the first mistakes I made, is just being lazy, I guess, procrastinating in my confidence, knowing that thinking I was going to be a millionaire by 2021, and now I'm 20, and it's not there yet. And I guess that's really like my high school business side of that part. Don't wait. If you're a sophomore, if you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior watching this, which grade you're in, if you're a freshman or a sophomore, you might be thinking, okay, well, I'm still a kid. I don't gotta worry about anything. Bro, this is your time to do something and really think about what it is you want to do. And not only is it just thinking about it, but it's actually, picking up your hand and doing it, doing the action that you say you want to do. If you were going to want to go into real estate, research how to become a real estate agent, research what it is you want to do. And start trying it. Start, doing services for super cheap amounts, way cheaper than all your competitors. Do work for free. Just get your voice and everything. Just get heard. Get good at what it is you want to offer. And I can promise you guys that if this is an example, like if you're doing photography, you're going to run into somebody else that is bigger or has a big company, and you're going to open windows for yourself. And you might not even know, but you might totally end up in a different field than photography. But photography is what you started, and photography is what got you in the door. And because you started photography and you stayed consistent and disciplined to your craft, now all these other doors is opened, and you have more possibilities for more money. So I really just, if you're in high school or even in college, and you're already out, you're my age, I'm 20 years old currently, is to stay consistent and disciplined to whatever it is that you're doing. Whether it be real estate, photography, whether it's your 9 to 5, be consistent. Try and get a raise. Try and figure out how to make more money, or take time off and start your own business. See if that is something you would be interested in. But don't sit and do nothing. If you're out of high school, in college, or out of college, don't wait. You don't have time to wait. Time, what I've noticed is just time flies. The older you get, the more time flies, and it's a very scary feeling. And it's it's something. It's a grind. It's a battle. It's a war zone out there. So just take that into consideration. Um, and yeah, I mean, hopefully, like I said, this is all a documentation of my life. I'm not even trying to make it sound. Well, I guess I am trying to make it sound good, but this is all for documentation. This is for me to get better at video making. This is for me to talk to the camera and make my video once a week, and just for you guys to maybe learn a little bit about how you can improve your own life, and learn a little bit about me. And with that being said, please comment, like, and subscribe. I'll have another video next week. Amen.